Where do you wanna start? Reval. Okay.
Which paperwork we going through? This one or this one?
This big pile here.
All that other stuff's all signed, right?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Alright, so you guys have seen this before, you know what this is all about, but let me just go over a little bit, just so you know what we're doing this year, what we're proposing to do. So, what you're seeing on page one is basically all of the single-family valid sales. And the key thing to note at the bottom where it says, in the bottom right-hand corner where it says median, and you see 0.85, that number needs to be about a 0.95 or a 0.96. So what it boils down to is I have to bring in to value all of these properties as well as everything else in town to bring this ratio, this median ratio up to about a 0.96. Once we do that, we've got our values set. So typically with vision, it's pretty much all done in the style of the house. So if we wanna flip to page 6, go to page 6. I should have made you another copy.
You should have, but it's okay, George.
You'll notice on page 6 that these are styles of all, that basically it's the same thing that's on page 1, but they're sorted by style. And if you notice, the antique is already at a 0.96, so that's good pretty much the way it is. Bungalows have to come up considerably, they're at a 0.79. And it's pretty self-explanatory as you go down the sheet. Capes, the median is 0.83. Colonials, 0.86. Contemporaries, 0.84. Conventionals, sometimes I question whether they're conventionals or colonials, but if I have to make that change, I will on one or two of those. That's at a 0.80. Raised ranches are coming in at 0.76 right now. Regular ranches aren't as bad as they usually are, probably because we hit them harder last year. They're already at a 0.89, so I don't have to bring ranches up as much. To get me to a 0.96 ratio is not gonna be that big a deal on that one. And then the split level, there's only one of them on street or road, that's at a 0.82. So basically what we're looking at is on some of these, you know, it could be 12, 13, 14% increase to get us to where we gotta be. Like the colonials, they're at a 0.86 now, I gotta come up 10%. Okay? The capes are they're at an 83 now, 0.83. I gotta bring those up about 13%. So there's some styles that gonna need a little bit more attention than others, but this is the same thing we do every year. There's no rocket science about this, it's just basic, you know, adjusting the values across the board based on what is actually sold. Page 11, which is the single sheet, those are the condos, and I guess the good news is condos aren't all that bad this year. If you look at those medians, you see I've got a 9.2, a 9.1, 9.3, a 9.2, 9.5. This one's a little troubling. I'm gonna have to play around with this guy. 5 Pine Tree Lane, that's at a 0.54, so what I'm gonna do is look at some other sales and see what's going on, see what kind of direction that has to be in, but that indicates a significant increase going from 5.4 to 9.6. So I gotta figure out if that's an anomaly or if that's really what we gotta do. But other than that, that is my calculations thus far.
Yeah, it went up almost, went from 183 2008, 300 to 190, almost 200,000.
Yeah, I know, and the thing is there's a couple other sales in there that are in the 180, 190s.
Yeah.
So that's leading me to believe that these things jump like
Hotcakes. Well, last year was a big sale year. I mean, people were buying stuff sight unseen, 10, 20, 25K,
it was worse last year.
over and above asking,
Yeah,
right?
these numbers were worse last year.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot more to deal with last year than we are this year. This year is, from what I'm seeing, when a lot of this stuff is in the 0.7, mid-7s to 8s, this is more of a normal year. I wouldn't say perfectly normal, but far better in terms of the impact to the taxpayer than last year. In other words, it won't be as significant of an increase to get where we need to be.
What did you say what number Pine Tree?
5.
Thank you.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty routine, pretty much what we've been doing.
Just out of curiosity,
Yep.
that house across the street on Main Street, the one they did the foundation on,
Is that a multifamily,
no, single,
single? What number Main?
I don't know.
Is it it would be on here if it's arm's length, otherwise it would have been coded out. Or if it's a sale,
They gutted out, oh, they gutted the whole house,
okay.
you know,
When something like that happens, then we go in and we increase,
I just didn't know about that,
yeah,
I never
without,
think to ask, look at the number.
yeah, without, see, typically, we get as you know, we get the permits, and then, if there's renovation or major renovation, we'll address it that way,
Yeah.
we'll take a look at it. I've already been out, for the new construction, I've gone and looked at just about actually, I have gone out and looked at all the new construction, some of them twice or 3 times, cause you start earlier in the season, and then you try to grab all your new growth before the, end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, as you guys look through this, you're gonna come up, or you may have questions, you may not, but, if you do.
This is off on a tangent. The Habitat for Humanity house gonna be on these rosters?
It will when it sells.
So it hasn't sold?
No. And I haven't been able to use it as new growth either, because as Habitat for Humanity being the owner, it's still a exempt property. So we're not, until it sells to the end user, to the person that's gonna live in it, it's still exempt. Now, I took a ride up there,
It looks done.
I know it does, and I saw what appeared to be like stuff around the house. I looked on the registry of deeds though to see if there was any transfer, and I haven't been able to find one yet. So maybe the closing is pending, I don't know. It's not listed through I wasn't able to find it on the registry of deeds as a closed, or as a new owner. So,
Based on your experience on the multi-level RRG offices,
yep,
have you guys ever dealt with Habitat for Humanity homes before? In other words, could this be a situation where Habitat for Humanity is gonna hold onto the deed and for want of a better definition, lease the house out to these people?
I don't know. And the answer is, we don't see these hardly at all.
Let's just look.
George, can I ask,
On
when did you
Ragged
look
Hill.
at the deed?
I'm sorry?
Right
When did you
where,
look up the deeds?
I looked it
Down
up
at
last week.
Warford's places, it's like the next house over down on the left.
So up
Or
on,
next to, you can't miss it, it's got a huge 10-foot, it looked like what, 10-foot long sign, Habitat for Humanity, you
yeah,
can't miss it.
there's, I think there's like 5 new houses all in a row.
Right,
The bigger ones are already occupied and being lived in, we've already got those.
yeah, those are already there, right,
The first one that sits way back from the road,
that's
it's.
being built.
That's being built now.
Right.
But that's not gonna,
Did you see that house?
only from the outside.
Did, up close,
I went up.
not from the road, you went up the driveway?
Well, I went up the driveway a little bit.
I
but
just drove by it, what style home would you call that?
I think it's gonna be like a cape, contemporary cape.
Do you think it's gonna be a contemporary cave? I couldn't figure it out.
But look to me, based on the blueprints, it's gonna be one level with an unfinished second floor. So it's gonna be kinda funky the way they're doing it. They're also, it's gonna have the roof line of a cape.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be there might be a little bit of living space upstairs, but not much. It's predominantly on the first floor, and there's some finished area in the basement. About maybe 35 to 40% of the foundation, within the foundation, will be finished in the basement, according to the blueprints. So they're gonna have finished area below grade, but predominantly it's, that's why I'm saying, until I see the final, take a look at it, walk through it, my thinking is, it's probably gonna go in as a contemporary cape. Good description, because it's not a traditional cape by any means, but it's not a ranch, even though it's probably almost all one level. So the only other style we have to pick from our system is contemporary.
Yeah, I didn't drive up,
Yeah.
the driveway, I just drove down the street and gave a quick glance, and it seemed like it was long.
Well, that's the thing,
It's long
yeah,
relative to the
and-
driveway.
And that's pretty typical of a one level thing, they stretch it out.
Exactly, right.
There is not an awful lot, there might be like a little loft area or something on the second floor, but the blueprints that's what the blueprint showed. Is that what they're gonna really put in? I don't know until I go and see it. And when I went out there, I actually went out probably 2-3 weeks ago. It wasn't anywhere near to the point that I could go in and really look around. It's certainly not ready for, to capture the growth on it, so. But the others, like, again, up on Ragged Hill, that was a good move on Ryan's part, cause that was town-owned land that they sold,
Right.
and so, that worked out. Okay?
Yeah.
Again, if you have any questions on these, feel
Yeah,
free.
I got more questions.
Oh, okay.
The house on 68, the shell, I'm gonna call it the shell house, the cement foundation house.
Oh, they're building on it.
We're
huh?
building on it.
Yeah.
What, do we have any numbers on that particular home, or that was just not touched?
That, if it's, is it the one up here on the left-hand side, that's just the foundation?
Had the backhoe in front of it for,
Yeah, okay,
yeah, they're building it now.
We're building it now.
okay. We won't have anything on that until it's actually pretty much up.
Okay,
So, I drove by in my new construction, in my new growth gathering. There is actually a new one a little further on up the street on the same side that just got finished not too long ago. It's got a 2-car garage with it. I think it's I don't know if it's a ranch.
Oh, that's
or-
it, that's where that road goes way down in the back to the left of the house, the garage.
I don't know if it's a road or a driveway.
Used to be a pig farm down in the back.
Maybe, I
Right.
don't know, but that's a new house.
Yeah.
But the one you're talking about, Al, if, that's been a foundation for a long time,
Oh,
right,
yes.
yeah,
and if they're building on it, nothing was, except for the foundation, was there as of June 30th. So cause that's the last time roughly when I went out. So that wouldn't be captured until next year's new growth.
Yeah, I thought the guy gave up.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Backhoe was
I
back
thought
there.
so too. The backhoe was pushed
Couple
off to the
years.
side, yeah, but at least 2-3 years.
Well, sometimes those permits get issued and for some reason they stop doing it, you know,
Yeah.
cause that, I know that foundation's been there for a long time.
There's a couple new houses up on, Old Princeton Road too.
Yep.
3 of them.
Those
Right.
aren't in here because they're not sales.
Right.
But I do have them in my new growth. They're not, one of them is only about 40% done. In fact, one of them was supposed to have had a 2-car garage according to the plans.
Yeah.
And they're building it with the garage not on there now. So when I've actually looked at that one a couple of times. I removed the garage from our information, but that's not complete. I might be grabbing a percentage of that for the growth for this year, but I don't think, I mean, that has nothing to do with this, so we're talking
Right.
about new growth. I'm trying to recall, but I'm pretty sure that one I had in it is about 40% complete, meaning it was all studded, weather tight. They started doing rough wiring and things like that, but they still have to do insulation, drywall, and all the rest of the, you know, that was not done. So we still got a ways to go with that guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty up on all the new construction. It's the big one for growth for next year is gonna be the one that's in your backyard, Al, the storage facility.
Yeah.
But that's not even, they're not close yet.
No, they're just putting up walls now.
Yeah.
Putting up
So when
walls.
you look, and when you're thinking in terms of growth, you have to do it based on the fiscal year. And in that case, what was there on June 30th, the end of last fiscal year,
Mhm.
was, I don't even think all 10 foundations were in at that point. It might have been 8. Cause I drove in there one time, we talked about it, and I was gonna call you guys to look at it, but then I drove by it, and said, there's nothing there to look at. The foundations aren't all in. And since then, you say that they may be putting walls up now on some of them, so that could be, but that's not gonna be that's not gonna come till next year.
The walls are up. Some of them,
Yeah,
the walls are up.
But don't forget, you got 10,
What
you
did
got,
they do there?
What was it, past week?
I know they got a lot of pipe coming up through the floors.
Oh yeah, when you go by tonight,
Yeah.
when you go by tonight, go around the high street,
so
and you'll see they have some walls already up.
There's
They were
gonna be-
doing it for the past 2-3
I
days.
only do Main Street.
You only do Main Street?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Well, I can't see no walls on Main
A
Street.
heck of a
I
assessor.
didn't know they went that far
Heck of
back.
an assessor.
So there's gonna be 10 buildings, 10 storage buildings, that's what that thing is. And I think there's an 11th building, which is like a little kiosk in the front, so you can come and get your key or whatever, I don't know. But there's definitely the 10, I'm not sure about the 11th, I think there's an 11th, but it's just like a small kiosk kind of thing.
That's probably where somebody sits here and sells them.
I don't know if there's gonna be anybody working on site, I don't know.
I would think,
But that'll be a big piece for next year because, when that's done, that's gonna be close to I haven't calculated it out, but that's gonna be somewhere between 1.3 to 1.5 million dollars in value.
That would make sense. I wanna revisit one
Yep.
topic, just out of curiosity as it pertains to
Sure.
assessors. There's a log cabin on Hale Road that was sold. What category would that house had come under?
If it's
in your
sold,
mind?
if
Yes,
it's sold,
it's sold.
it would be based on the style. Is it a Cape or is it a Colonial?
log cabin.
Log cabin.
Yeah, but what's the roof like?
I would call it a cape.
Okay, so I mean, I have to see it obviously, but a log cabin is, we would call it a cape, but the fact that it's made with
Logs.
logs, that would probably put it into, you know how we do the quality, average plus 10, average plus 20, good?
Right.
By being a log constructed building, that would probably start you off at a quality level higher than average. It would probably be at least average plus 20, because it's made from logs. Other than that, it would be just based on the style of how the floor is. If it's 2 floors, it would be a colonial. If it's a cape roof line, it would be a cape.
There's several log homes in town, I mean, that's something that
Yeah,
could be looked up, see how they're being valued.
that is how they're done. It would be based on the style, and then if it's log construction, you would start off at least an average plus 20 for the quality. That gives you at least a 20% boost in value because of the quality of the log. But we don't have a category in Vision that says log cabin. We have, like, say, so if you go into, you put down cape, you can put vinyl siding, wood clapboard,
Yeah.
log. As soon as you hit log, automatically, I'm gonna go to average plus 20 or perhaps even good quality, which is like a 30% bump. And something like that, it's gonna be, you know, I mean, I've seen split entries that are made from log, but there's still a split entry. Again, we addressed the log issue in the quality section.
I don't see this particular home listed, that's why I'm wondering.
Well, if it didn't sell, it wouldn't be on there. It would have had to have sold in the year 2021. Keep in mind, this is an analysis of sales that occurred in 2021. So, the properties you're talking about, they may or may not have sold.
It had to. But anyway, it did. It's not on there.
But did it happen in 2022?
No.
It happened in 2021. Do you know the number on Hill Road?
No, I don't, that's what I'm
What's
saying.
your son's number?
That I don't know either. And he asked me what the kid did, you know, he's something in the, I don't know.
Well, okay, so if you've got a specific property, we can certainly find it.
Yeah,
But again, the analysis that I've got put before you, these are arm's length sales that occurred in 2021. If it's not in that category, it's not on this list. It's not in this analysis. Okay?
could you have called it a raised ranch?
I would have called it whatever the style was. I mean, if you got an address, we can look it up, but.
Okay.
And then the other issue that would keep it off this list if it was a non-arm's length sale. And then it would get coded out. And it would not be included in the analysis. But it would not come under the category of a log house or log building.
Okay, just thought I'd ask.
So you won't find it that way. That's why I'm saying, if you can come up with the address, then it's easy for us to go into the system and dig it up. But doing it this way is sort of like,
I've had a lot of deeds for 2022 on Hill Road, but I can't remember 2021, but this year so far, there's been a lot on Hill Road.
Okay, cool. So maybe it was 2022, I could be,
could have been 2020 too,
yeah,
2020.
I knew what you meant, George.
yeah. Anyway,
But again, come up with the address,
Yeah, I
I can
will.
look it up.
yeah, thank you,
Alright,
Yeah.
wanna move on?
sure.
Alright. Questions regarding, I guess these were some questions that you had, Al, raised about, E4, Mission E4.
Yeah,
I did some checking in, a little bit more than since the last time I talked to you. I guess the question comes up, well, there's a bunch of things going on with Mission E4, first of all, you know it's for sale. There's
well, I
a
was
bit-
concerned that the pilot had expired.
Okay, so to that question, the pilot expired in 2022. As far as what Sandy received a payment to that pilot earlier, a payment earlier this year. So there was still money coming in as of earlier this year. She was trying to get a hold of Kelly down in Florida to find out how that was applied to the pilot. Going forward, we don't have a valid pilot at this point. They don't have a valid business at this point. So what we're waiting to find out, Ryan had me, this is going back about maybe 2 months, Ryan had me talk to the guy that's potentially buying this place. I forget his name, but he owns or runs what's called, get this, Zoo Church, okay? It's a combination of a zoo and a church. That,
This is gonna be a thorn.
now, as of right now, there is no transaction on Mission E4. He has not bought it. If it's in process of being closed on, we wouldn't know that. We're not gonna know it till the deeds come out. That being said, I checked up on this guy. He has the same kind of business, Zoo Church, in Bolton. Well,
What did you guys do in Bolton then?
we have
Go
Bolton.
right there.
We have Bolton.
Right, that's why I'm going right there, I'll
So
interrupt and go right there.
So I called Dave, who was the assessor in Bolton. I says, Dave, what can you tell me about Zoo Church? And he says, well, the guy's legit, he's got the business running, but he's never filed any kind of 3ABC, or he's not a 501(c) organization. They have not filed any kind of exemption type of thing. He's charging them the full
Full boat.
down in Bolton, okay?
And the payment.
So far. Now, the question comes up, when the potential buyer spoke with me, he was saying, well, okay, there's gonna be a church, so it's gonna be exempt to a point. I said, that's fine, but you gotta get, everything has to be in order. We just can't say
Right.
you're a church and say you're exempt. It doesn't work that way. And I'm gonna say, this is almost 2 months ago, I had asked him, over the phone, I talked to him, I says, send me an email and put together a highlight bullet point of all of the things that you people do, so that way I can give you a target amount of what it may, what your taxes may be, if you get to a tax exempt status. He never sent me anything. And he was all up, he was all set, he was a really nice guy, and he was all excited to send me and take care of it and get this thing going. I never heard a word from him.
What does Ryan say?
Ryan hasn't heard from him either.
He's leaving in
He's gone now.
48 hours.
Yesterday was his last day. He'll just
Yesterday
be-
was his last
Yeah,
day.
no.
He'll just be here for the
What about the house
special
down
town
at
meeting.
Pinecrest?
Yeah, I was thinking that too, thank you.
Well, that's another thing. So what we're gonna do, or what I think we should do is,
Well, they're not business anymore, it's on a regular tax bill.
exactly, what we're gonna do is, Sandy is going to work with me on this. We're gonna get in touch with, the people that still run Mission
Scott
E4.
Long.
Huh?
His name is Scott Long.
Yeah. Well, Scott died.
He's-
Oh, so it's his kids?
Yeah.
It's his kid that owns it, that's why I can't remember his name. But Scott was the father, he passed away from COVID, I think a year and a half or a year ago.
Yeah,
So, I don't have any firm answers at this point, all I know is that we're aware of the situation. And what we're gonna do is, basically, Mission E4, we can get them we can enter into a new pilot where they still give us money, or we're gonna convert it back to taxable property where we get everything for it, or this Zoo Church actually closes and purchases it, and they file all the paperwork necessary to either make it an exempt church entity or what have you, or something. As far as down Pinecrest, I don't think that would be a taxable, I mean, that should be a taxable piece of
It is, it's not on the exempt list.
Okay, so that is
Yeah.
taxable then,
Yeah.
okay. So I guess the answer is, it's being discussed.
Talk to the guy over in Bolton to see, do they have, animals on the?
They do. In fact, you can go on their website and you can see the kind of, what they do is they rescue exotic animals. And I guess they charge people to come in and see the zoo.
Yeah.
And some of the proceeds of the charging for the zoo helps offset the expense of the church. Cause they also put, he also puts up on YouTube, sermons and religious things that, like, of that nature.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, but going back to what he just asked, in my head, I'm thinking, so if he, and you would know, cause you're RRG Bolton. So what do? You take 2 acres out of however number he owns and say, those are exempt because that is the church, and the remainder of the acreage is either gotta go under chapter, or it's gotta be, taxed at the going rate, no?
Yes and no. So one of the things that, in talking to him, he's got all these ideas that, and there's nothing in paper, cause I asked him to send me something so I could start
Yeah, I mean, there's
looking
not
at-
much open land up there. It's
No,
all
but
buildings.
he's got a bunch of buildings.
Yeah, it's all buildings, right.
So one of the buildings, they wanted to turn into an Airbnb. Well, that's not an exempt entity, that would be
Correct.
profit.
Right.
So that would be taxed if he does that.
For
He didn't
personal property
say or indicate what he's doing, he didn't say or indicate what he's doing with the other, with the other buildings. That's what the purpose of having him email me something, so I could see what his plan is.
Yeah, but either Ryan or the select board should be interacting with these guys, no?
Not yet, not yet,
Well,
because.
they're the ones that, the select board was the ones that granted the
Yeah,
pilot
but see, Al, he
cost.
doesn't own it yet. He hasn't bought it yet.
So will you make changes on your soft?
They're probably working on a program, what they're gonna do with certain things up there,
Maybe.
in buildings and.
I mean, I don't wanna make any assumptions. 'cause
All right, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I mean, if
He could
he said he
be.
was gonna do something, it's gonna take more than a week to come up
Well,
with a,
Yeah, I mean, it's almost
just
2
going
months.
by all the buildings and property there.
It's at least a month and a half that I spoke with him.
No,
But the point is that,
works like me, so.
the point is if this guy is legit, he's legit in Bolton, if he's legit gonna buy something here, then at that time, once that deed comes through and she records it, I see that this guy owns it, now we start talking turkey. Because at this point, he's gotta either file his 501(c), or he's gonna have to pay taxes on this facility.
So the next round of tax bills that go out from the town will reflect it non-pilot, commercial, full value.
Not yet, because,
You're at 3%.
not yet, because it's still Mission E4. So what we wanna do is, we wanna probably renegotiate with Mission E4 a new pilot agreement, okay? The last pilot agreement was started in 2017,
Mhm.
expired in 2022, it was a
Mhm.
5-year agreement.
Right.
What I'm trying to figure out with Sandy is, going forward, basically, if Mission E4 is gonna keep it, and we don't know yet, again, this is all keyed on whether or not this guy in Bolton actually is able to buy it, okay? You're talking of a $2+ million property, he's gonna get financing for, not the easiest thing in the world. So what's gonna happen is, kinda like 2 different streets we're going down.
Right.
We're going down the one street, if Mission E4 hangs on to it, and if they're not operating as a church anymore, then maybe it's not gonna be a pilot agreement anymore, maybe it's gonna be taxed at the full boat, okay? That's one direction. The other direction is, and we don't know, it's if the guy in Bolton does buy it, okay, what are you doing with it? Do you have the proper paperwork and the proper applications into us and the government to say that you're doing this tax exempt? And furthermore, it may be partially exempt, but there may be pieces that we can tax them on, such as an Airbnb building, okay? If
Mhm.
you recall with Mission E4, at one point, remember we went down there? They had one of the buildings, they were renting it out to a contractor who did metal fabrication and that kind of thing for HVACs or whatever.
Mhm.
they had to pay taxes on that part of it, cause that was not tax exempt.
Right, but what's going through my mind,
I guess the bottom line is, Al, that's all I know. We don't have anything further until we get something from this guy in Bolton.
okay, but what's going through my mind is a lag period, okay? So, like the guy on 68 we were talking about earlier with the foundation.
Yep.
It seemed as though, and I agree with John, and I don't know if Jeff has the same recollection, that foundation was in there for maybe a year to 2 years.
And he was paying.
Right, but the house didn't go up until this year.
Right.
This summer,
Yeah.
okay. Well, even though Mission E4 is up for sale, it could drag on a year, could drag on 18 months, and the tax bills will be going out. The pilot is expired, so.
That, again, listen to what I just said. That's why we're trying to get and renegotiate a new pilot agreement for that interim period.
That's the selectmen that do that. They're not doing
They
that.
called us in at that last meeting.
They may, but that would be something that's gonna have to be between Sandy and it's not Scott Long, but his son. Now, we'll work with him on it, okay, but that's not that's not part of what we do.
Okay.
What about this place in Bolton?
What's that?
Where is it located?
It's Zoo Church.
I know, whereabouts?
Oh, I don't know where it is. It's close to 495, but I don't know exactly where it is. You can find it on the internet. It's
Yeah.
actually, you can go and Google it. Well, you can. You
Yeah.
look up Zoo Church and you can see what he's doing. He's got, in fact, you can see his sermons, you can see all kind of stuff. He you know, everything he's doing down there. That's the kind of model he wants to do here, but I haven't seen anything yet. We don't have anything.
Yeah, we have a zoo back in Hubbardston, which we had up on Old.
Yeah,
It's
like,
on Sugar Road in Bolton.
Sugar Road.
why does it stick out in my mind? Is that off 117?
What?
Sugar Road?
But
I'm
one
trying to
seventeen goes right through Bolton, so.
I'm trying to think of the parameters. The apple orchard's on 117 before Stowe.
I think it's Cully's.
Wilson
Cully's
used
is a
to have
restaurant.
Wilson, that's in Lancaster.
Oh, okay.
Which one's that?
Kelly's old ski-doo ranch.
Oh.
place.
That's part of the
It's Kalen Farm.
yeah, but isn't that
This guy is the Bull Spit
that-
Brewery.
they're the same people that are putting the brewery up in Winchendon.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they put one there in Kelly's old ski-doo place, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah. Town gave him a whole bunch of crap over it, so.
in a restaurant. They put both in there.
Yeah.
they're putting, the same people are putting up they're taking and renovating an old mill building in Winchendon, and they're putting in Bull Spit Brewery, which is, it's well underway. They're doing soil remediation, cause it's an old factory
Yeah.
building. But anyway, as far as the Zoo Church goes, and we just have to wait on that. The only thing we can do is go after currently whose Mission E4 is and what they're doing.
That's a project for you and I to do someday. Take a ride to Bolton. Check it out.
Saturday afternoon. Well, let's not waste any time. You had some questions about agriculture, right?
I do.
Yeah, based on our conversation earlier today, maybe?
Oh, no, buoy?
Yeah.
Remind me what I was. Oh, now it's coming back.
That's good. I'm curious to get his answer too.
Chapter 61A, state values different agricultural aspects of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Orchard, pasture land,
Yep.
whatever, Christmas tree thing. If you plant Christmas trees, that's like different value.
Crops, yeah.
Yeah. How does that work with the plot?
good question. I have not, I don't know how that's gonna work because that's a brand new thing. And none of the 61 was ever designed or
61A.
well, any of the 61,
Yeah.
whether it's 61, 61A or B, none of that was ever designed.
Cause that affects the state too, with,
Well,
tax wise.
yeah, I
Don't they
mean,
grow it inside of a building though?
yeah, a lot of it's grown inside.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, that there's, you know, a lot of the towns are getting like, a piece of the sales tax on that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I
Very
don't,
big personal property value.
but I don't,
Say
I-
again, please?
It's a very, very large personal property value. I inspected all of the ones that are in Fitchburg, so they.
The one over here on 68, that's outside, isn't it? I don't know.
Yes, it's outside.
yeah, but what they're growing will be in the inside.
No, the one on 68 where the stove shop used to be is outside.
Okay. I don't know how that
You know,
works.
they got the Quonset hut,
So,
they got, I'm pretty sure outside growth.
so one thing I do know about 61, 61A or 61B, whenever you put anything in any of those, you have to do, it states 5 acre minimum.
Right.
Right.
They don't have 5 acres up here.
They own both properties, the other side of the highway too,
Right.
the other side is
But they're not,
68.
are they, but if they're on each side, are they contiguous?
No.
So they would have to be separate. The answer, I don't have an answer for how marijuana is being treated, in
And the
term-
laws don't, the MGL doesn't give you any, direction
No,
on
and,
how
and,
they
and,
intend
and
to
the
do
chapter,
that.
and the chapter books don't have anything to do with that either.
Correct.
Well, it's all new.
Well, that's it, and quite honestly, I've never experienced it in any of the towns I've worked in. We don't have, we might be getting it in Winchendon, but we don't have it yet. There's some proposals up there, but it hasn't happened yet.
Now, they grow, aren't they growing, leaving a couple big factory buildings in Winchester
Yeah,
already?
I don't think so.
Didn't they?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, on the old mills, some of the old mills there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not that I'm aware of. You've got, a couple places where they're selling cannabis products.
Correct, I think they're growing, I thought they were growing in a
I
couple of
did
the old
too.
factory buildings, they
Right.
renovated them
If
to-
it's,
to-
if they are, it could be I'm not aware of it, to be honest with you.
So you never received any notification of a pilot being agreed to or negotiated between the select board and the guys on 68?
Nothing.
Okay.
We talked to, the guy that's doing that, he actually came in here maybe 6 or 8 months ago, and we talked to him briefly, but at that point, they were still, you know, very much still in the development stage.
So let's go back, let's start again to the foundation on 68 and use that as my foundation for my question and come
Okay.
back, okay?
Yep.
There's one facility for growing marijuana on 68 heading north, it'd be on the right. And those are fully enclosed buildings with an open air farm.
Yep.
Or an open air garden, whatever you wanna call
What is
it.
that?
The old stove shop,
Oh, okay, yeah.
right?
Yes, 3 buildings there, right?
Okay, so, again, have you walked the property on the other side?
No, but
No.
I've been, before this guy took it over, I was down there and after the stove shop moved out, I did a, you
Yeah,
know, a good.
okay, but how about across the street?
No.
Okay, so you haven't been there in
No.
a year or two?
No,
Okay. If they put up, the way it was described to us here within the town
yeah,
was that it was going to be 12-foot high walls, cinder block, brick, or cement with like an atrium over the top, glass top, okay? Since you haven't been there, you don't know what the building is worth, I'm assuming,
we
for
only.
taxation purposes.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't received any building permits from next door on that. That's where I would get my starter information, is from the building permits.
Maybe they just plowed up the ground and planted it. My niece worked at a place over in Barrier Hardwood, pot farm, who got
Open
the
air.
Christmas tree farm,
Yeah, open air, right.
yeah.
Okay, so we don't even know what that building, if at all, if it even is there, what it looks like.
No, and the other problem with with some of that right now too, is that we don't have anybody in the building department to get us that information. Mallory's gone,
We have a building inspector.
they don't, you find them, good luck.
The inspection
Well,
several
I
towns.
can find him, I'll see him tomorrow.
Then you ask him if he's got any, if the permits are entered, we don't, we have to get the permit, the way it's supposed to work is, whenever anybody issues a permit, them, they give us heads up on that, and we can go in the system and look at the building permits. I haven't seen any building
We get
permits.
a separate copy,
Yeah,
yeah.
we haven't got anything up there, not to my knowledge.
Keeps changing his mind on everything.
He also doesn't have a clerk and gardener anymore either.
So the original plan that was described to the town, you're saying might not even be in existence. That's what you're implying. So in
How-
other words, the building was gonna be like 12 feet high, fully enclosed, with an atrium roof to allow the sun come in and plants to grow that were gonna be inside the building.
Is that building there?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. You
I
don't-
haven't seen
oh,
it.
Okay, well, that make, that
I mean,
make-
that's what the blueprint and with the the
Yeah.
thing that was there on the board.
Yeah, see, again, if we don't get any information from the building department,
Plus you get shot trying to drive up there. You know,
we wouldn't have any information on it. I mean, could I go up and nosy around? Absolutely, but that doesn't mean that they've got anything going, you know?
I noticed the gate's been open a lot lately during the daytime.
Well, that would make sense
The one
because.
going up back, past the
Yeah,
horse,
well, that would make sense because they're cutting everything down, end of the year. Well, it's 6 feet high, 12 feet high, whatever the height it's gotta go, chopping it down and
Is
sending it forward, right?
Is this stuff growing inside of a building or
I
outside?
don't know, that's why I'm asking you,
Oh, okay,
I'm
okay,
looking you for I'm kinda doing both, I'm kind of
All right.
feeling you out, trying to figure out.
Yeah,
It's like over here in 68, it's all enclosed in a black fence, you can't see through it.
Right,
right,
And you got the Quonset hut out in the
The
back,
back.
yeah,
you know, that, I'm trying to visualize the sale, you know, how much, I was watching a thing on the news the other night, the sheriff's department are raiding a lot of illegal growth farms out in California.
yep.
And like, there was one that had like 300 or 400 plants, talking a couple $1 million
Yeah,
value
yeah.
on
So I guess the only thing we can do is investigate it. I did hear through the grapevine that they have hired a replacement for Mallory. I don't know if the guy has started yet. From what I gather, he is gonna be starting. I don't think he started yet. That's coming from Sandy this morning, cause I asked Sandy about that. Once we can start getting information from the building department, we can start looking at this stuff again in terms of at least knowing if there's permits or, you know, if anybody's doing anything legally.
yeah, you would've had a valid permit if you're gonna put up
Yeah.
any type of.
But I mean, without that, we don't know what's,
Right.
we wouldn't know. I mean, how do I know how a house is being built? I don't know unless I get the building permit first.
Yeah.
And then I get the blueprints, cause they put them up.
Would the building be taxed on the value of the product, or would the building be taxed on the size and the structure of the building?
Most likely, the building would be based on the building itself, size, quality, structure. The product is something totally different. Whatever they wanna do with the in terms of, the cannabis, that would be something that would be negotiated with the town manager or the select board.
Or as their inventory on personal property.
Yep,
In all of their equipment, as in their watering system and everything. The ones in Pittsburgh are huge, and it's like $4 million in value.
but that's, but that.
Those are buildings, those are standing
No,
buildings.
that's just their personal property. Just their
Just their
personal.
personal property.
Yeah, their building is a separate
Yeah,
tax bill.
So we're not, so Fitchburg isn't taxing the property on the value of the.
They're taxing both, the value of their
but
building
separately.
And the
though.
value of the
and their
material
value of their
they're-
business.
Value, no, how about the value of the material they're growing?
Yes, as their inventory.
Okay, that's.
Unless they are owned by a corporation, then their inventory is not taxable, but their machinery and their equipment is. So half of them are owned by a corporation, and then half of them are not. So the ones that are not owned by a corporation are taxed fully on the inventory, everything, even their furniture, like their waiting chairs and whatnot. So
Trying to think, I got all this open land up on the hill.
You do have a lot of family up on that hill, times 6. All those families times 6, you know, it's just, it's a heck of a number, I can see coming my way. It's like, wow, that's a lot of stuff.
So there's obviously a lot of potential that could be up there, but it would be nice, once they have somebody open next door, that we can start getting building
Yeah,
permits.
but he won't be familiar with the quote-unquote, technically, in my mind, I say this respectfully, you have more experience to walk over there and find what we're talking about than he will over the next 6 months. That's just a guess on my part, because you know where things are, and you were there for what, a year and a half, 2 years?
I suppose.
Yeah.
Like next door?
Yeah, when you were our clerk.
Yeah, but it's not the assessors anymore, so.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's, you
it's.
only know your way around.
Well,
Yeah, I guess.
know your way around the building, but that you don't know
I've
your.
been in every office in this town hall, so.
Yeah, you have. Congratulations. For what it's worth.
All right.
Yeah, he won't be up and running for 6 months.
It's hard to say. I had this conversation with Ryan, maybe about a month ago, when I found out the Mallory was leaving. My concern was that one of the things that the town manager and the board of selectmen need, and they need a projection sometime around the first of the year. They need a new growth projection. Well, okay, that's not difficult to do for me. However, where do I get my information from?
Right. Right.
Now, if we don't have anybody over there putting the permits in, and we don't have anybody putting in the blueprints, and we don't have all that function happening, where's my crystal ball? How's that gonna work? That's really what I'm down to.
Yeah, not very well.
I think you understand, but it's just one of those things that we've got a big piece of the puzzle that's not functioning over there right now.
We used to get the building permits first of every month, like clockwork. Boom,
So,
boom, boom, boom,
so
boom.
what they're doing now, they've got this new system, that they put it online. And we can go in and look at it online, on the computer. But there's nobody to put them in right now. So we don't know, that's what I'm trying to say.
Are the inspectors technically giving paper copies when so if Mallory is there, how is she getting those building permits
I
to
don't,
get put in the system? Cause if they're getting paper copies from the inspectors, then I'll just go over there and make copies of those permits
if there are some.
from the inspectors,
Well,
yeah.
you're putting on, you're filling out, you as an individual gotta fill out the permit.
Yeah.
To, you know,
The
and
information.
then the building inspector,
Yeah,
you know, throws a value on it.
I mean, the thing, I guess the question would be, is there a permit on file for the properties that we're talking about? And if there is, then they might be over there somewhere. But we don't even know if those permits for these properties
Right.
we're talking about even exist. That's what and without somebody
Well,
over
the way
there.
things been running in this town,
Huh?
probably don't. You know,
Tell me
lack
about
of
it.
interest.
Well, look at right now, I mean, they don't even have they're gonna use Sandy as an interim town manager, which is great, but, you know, I don't know.
They moved the pay up.
Well, it's gonna be tough for her to do that plus her job, I think. But anyway, we're getting off the subject.
Yeah, I make a motion to adjourn, cause it's getting late.
Yeah, okay.
Second.